So even though the Chiefs were one of roughly 6 teams to rest their starters over the weekend, they somehow caught hell for doing so, with the masses melting down and even accusing them of purposely losing so a certain team didn't get in. Well, as you'll see in this video, they are wrong, because Andy Reid has been doing this exact thing for decades. So I've got to talk about that, key takeaways from this game. Yes, there were actually some, and much more. But first, how about those? Alright, so the Chiefs came into this Week 18 regular season finale versus Denver late because their plane was delayed due to the insane weather that's happening right now in Kansas City, but they had a couple main priorities in mind. We'll call it 1A, 1B. 1A was show absolutely nothing playbook-wise, and 1B, get the hell out of there healthy, and that is basically exactly how things went down. Yes, this was a 38-0 beatdown in Denver, albeit in a game that literally did not matter, at least for the Chiefs, and they played all their backups that they possibly could. KC already had the 1 seed locked up, and while it was a must-win game for Denver to get into the playoffs, and get into the playoffs they did, the first round bye was locked in for KC regardless. Now, I'm not going to dissect this game like I normally would because it was rather meaningless, but there were a few takeaways worth looking at. For starters, there were no starters in this game, at least not really. The Chiefs trotted out a very odd offensive line combo. DJ Humphries was at the left tackle spot. He needed those reps pretty badly. More on him later. But then, this was interesting, Kingsley Suamataia was left guard, the rookie who started the season as the initial left tackle, then obviously got benched. It's been a revolving door at the left tackle spot, we all know that. But next, Hunter Norzad was at center, CJ Hansen was right guard, and finally Wanye Morris was the right tackle. The interior trio of Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith did play the first series, a total of 3 plays before Wentz and company went 3 and out. Noah Gray played a whole 4 snaps. Xavier Worthy then played 1. For the rest of the receivers, the only ones out there, as you can see here on the snap count, was Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson, and Nico Remigio. Remigio made a couple nice grabs in this game. He did also lead the room in receiving yards. Peyton Hendershot was next on the receiving list, and he led the tight end room by far with snaps. Again, Noah Gray had 4, and then Hendershot had the rest. Running back, fullback hybrid Carson Steele led the rushing attack with 8 carries to Samaje Perine 1, and that meant the offense basically had no Xavier Worthy, no Noah Gray, no starting offensive linemen, including no Jawan Taylor, no Patrick Mahomes, no Travis Kelce, no DeAndre Hopkins, no Hollywood Brown, no Kareem Hunt, no Isaiah Pacheco, and we're pretty much like, okay, Carson Wentz, go out there and survive. He was 10 of 17 for 98 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and was sacked 4 times. The offense never got into a rhythm, never got into the red zone, converted 1 third down of 9, and got dominated 18 minutes to nearly 42 minutes on the time of possession. Then on defense, Turk Wharton and Mike Dana barely played. Meanwhile, there was no Chris Jones, no George Karlaftis, no Trent McDuffie, no Nick Bolton, no Drew Tranquill, and no Justin Reed. Shamari Connor played for a bit before being listed as questionable to return with a shoulder injury. I'll talk about him near the end of this video, but basically, the starting 4 along the D-line did not play, with Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Charles Omenihu, Mike Pennell, Marlon Tuipulotu, and Derek Nottie getting most of those snaps. Joshua Uche was playing linebacker some of the time out there. Blake Lynch played 25 snaps, and if you are wondering, who the heck is Blake Lynch? Well, he's a guy that signed to the practice squad a week ago. Linebacker Cam Jones led all defensive players in snaps, and Leo Chanel played quite a bit out there as well at the linebacker spot. Then in the secondary, we saw lots of work from Nazeeh Johnson and Joshua Williams, specifically at the cornerback spots. Keith Taylor and Roland Wallace had a fair amount of snaps as well. Then the rookie safety Jaden Hicks was probably the standout player back there in the secondary. He made several plays out there that made me further realize he has a very bright future with this team. Now, I will state the obvious, the defense got worked over as well. Bo Nix only had 3 incompletions, going 26 for 29 for 321 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 sacks, and he also led the team in rushing yards. Cortland Sutton had nearly 100 yards on the day, with Mims and Vele behind in the pecking order. Vele is also the guy who caught that wild touchdown that bounced off of 2 Chiefs defenders in the back of the end zone, and he somehow came down with the pass. An extremely lucky play and made for one of the wild wildest touchdown catches I've ever seen. Denver was 4 for 5 in the red zone, 10 for 14 on third downs, and on 2 of those failed third down attempts, they went for it on fourth down and converted both of them. The secondary is still a bit of a concern in the cornerback room outside of Trent McDuffie. Joshua Williams and Najee Johnson got a bunch of reps, but they did give up some plays at times. KC might be banking on, hoping, praying, fasting, all of the above for the return of cornerback 2, at least before injury, Jalen Watson, for the playoffs, because his 21-day window to return from IR was just opened up late last week. So we shall see what happens there, because the holes in the secondary might be my biggest personal concern for this team heading into the playoffs. But with that, the Chiefs lost 38-0 in a game that the coaching staff treated like preseason from a game plan standpoint. I mean, it was very, very vanilla. And when I say very, I mean very. They weren't about to put anything on film against Denver, a team they could maybe see a couple weeks from now in the playoffs, since they are now obviously in there as the 7th seed. I mean, I doubt they get past the Buffalo Bills, but I guess you never know. And from here, I've got to talk about a few actual takeaways from this game. Believe it or not, there are a few. The playoff picture and who KC will most likely play, as well as Bengals fans and fans around the NFL accusing the Chiefs of throwing this game on purpose and more. But first, if you're looking for a premium mattress designed to upgrade your sleep, improve your overall quality of life, and is also conveniently shipped to your door for free in the US, then look no further than to the longest active sponsor of the channel, Bear Mattress. Their winter sale is now live, so head to bearmattress.com/HBTC and use code HBTC to get 40% off your mattress plus 2 free pillows. My entire family have now been using Bear for more than 2 years now, which has been great for my low back. And me and my wife loved ours so much that we got a Bear Cub mattress for both of our daughters now, our youngest a few months ago and our oldest just last week. That's why I can confidently say our entire family has been borderline hibernating ever since. But don't just take my word for it. Bear also ran a survey on over 300 of their recent customers where 82% saw an improvement in their sleep quality on their new Bear mattress, which is why 95% of those customers said they would recommend Bear to a friend. Plus, Bear knows everybody has different preferences and sleep positions, which is why there's an online quiz you can take to help you remove all the guesswork. I sleep on my back and prefer a medium firmness to my mattress, but my wife sleeps on her stomach and prefers a mattress that's more firm, and that's why Bear matched us up with the Elite Hybrid mattress to benefit us both, and after 2 years, we are still sleeping fantastic. And our experience was just like yours would be after ordering. All of our mattresses were shipped to our front door. Again, shipping is free in the US. They were super easy to unbox, and if you tend to sleep hot like me, Bear's sleep recovery technology uses Celliant-powered fabric to help you stay cool throughout the night. Then, unlike other brands, Bear mattresses also do not contain fiberglass, which can be detrimental to your health, and are also Green Guard Gold certified and Certi Pure US certified, so you can sleep safely and soundly knowing there will be no harmful off-gassing. On top of that, Bear mattresses have a lifetime warranty and even offer financing options and flexible payment plans. And if it makes you nervous to buy something that you haven't tried, Bear has a 120-night sleep trial, so you get more than 3 months to make sure that you love it. I certainly love my quality of sleep with Bear mattress, and I think you will too. So if you're looking to upgrade your sleep, go to bearmattress.com/HBTC and use code HBTC to get 40% off your Bear mattress plus 2 free pillows during their winter sale. This is higher than what's being offered on site, so check it out while you can. All right, now while the Chiefs lost a meaningless game, 38-0, there were a few takeaways worth talking through. Left tackle DJ Humphries did a decent job against a very talented Denver pass rush. His PFF grade is abysmal, but PFF is hilarious to me at times because on defense, the highest graded player for the Chiefs was Blake Lynch, who again had been a Chief for 6 days before playing. I actually watched every snap of DJ Humphries, and he gave up a few pressures, less than what PFF says he gave up. I believe PFF says 6. I think he gave up 3, and then a couple of sacks as well. But again, this is an elite Denver pass rush. You're playing at Mile High Stadium, and DJ Humphries is knocking off rust and coming back from injury. Not only the ACL that got repaired and he got cleared to play for in the first place after the Chiefs signed him. That's why the Chiefs signed him, but a hamstring injury that sidelined him for the last few weeks as well. So combine all that with the fact that he was also playing next to Kingsley Suamataia at left guard rather than Joe Thuney, who's one of the best guards, if not the best guards in football. And I think DJ Humphries did pretty well, all things considered. The good news here is that Humphries was able to knock off a bit more rust, and the hamstring held up, and he should be good to go and play, even start in the divisional round of the playoffs. The question is, do the Chiefs roll with DJ Humphries and Joe Thuney, so left tackle DJ Humphries and then left guard Joe Thuney right there? Or do they use DJ as an emergency depth piece, then keep Thuney at left tackle and bring back Mike Caliendo in at the left guard spot like they've done for the couple weeks that Humphries has been out? Well, I personally think at this point in time, they go with DJ Humphries at the left tackle spot. Then they kick Thuney back into left guard, which would in turn also help the run game. But I trust Andy Reid and company to look at the tape and roll with the best 5 they see fit. Again, I think DJ Humphries did a decent enough job where you might see him out there in the divisional round of the playoffs. In worst case, if things start to get dicey, he starts to struggle, you can always kick Joe Thuney back out there at the left tackle spot. Next, I am slightly concerned about Harrison Butker. Not majorly concerned, but there is a little bit of pause for concern there. Since coming back from injured reserve, he's played 4 games and has now missed a field goal or extra point in 3 of those 4 that he's played in. He missed a field goal against the Browns, an extra point against the Steelers, and also just missed a 51-yard attempt in the season finale against the Broncos. Now, not all of them were easy. The extra point he missed was backed up 15 yards by a touchdown celebration that got flagged, but before going on IR, Butker was like 19 for 20 on extra points and 18 for 20 on field goals, and his 2 misses on field goal attempts were from 50 plus. One of them, I believe, was 60 plus, but since returning, things have looked a bit more shaky. I'm hoping it's more of a fluke issue with Butker and more reps the next couple of weeks as he also gets to rest. We'll have him back to looking like his pre-surgery prime self. I've also seen some say that Carson Wentz is a bum, garbage, worthless, etc., and KC should bring back Chad Henne. Well, sorry to break it to you, Chad Henne retired, okay? He's not coming back. I don't think KC wanted him to go, but he was done playing, and so you have to move on. Wentz is a definite upgrade, in my opinion, from Blaine Gabbert, but he's also a backup now in the NFL for a reason. He's not going to be lights out in a game like Patrick Mahomes, especially when you've got 5 players along the O-line that have never played together going up against a top 3 pass rush in the NFL without any key playmakers to throw to on top of that. Wentz was obviously a bit rusty and shaky out there from not playing in a game since preseason, but I do believe he would look better with the starting offensive line and options like Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, and Travis Kelce to throw passes to, so I would not be overly concerned about Wentz and his performance. Regardless, the perfect scenario is that we never see Wentz again this season because that means Mahomes stayed healthy out there, which also obviously gives KC the best chance to win these playoff games. And then I've got to talk about the ludicrous idea that the Chiefs intentionally threw this game just so the Cincinnati Bengals would be eliminated. The Broncos won by a landslide, and therefore that knocked the Bengals out of the playoffs, officially eliminating them, and they finished the season with the same 9-8 record this year with Joe Burrow at the helm as they did last year with Jake Browning. Jokes aside, trolling aside, the problem was more with their defense, which is part of the reason why they fired their defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo today. But I digress. The point is, there were tons of posts out there saying that the Chiefs were scared of Cincinnati sneaking in as a 7th seed. They didn't want to see him in the playoffs, and that's why they rested starters and lost this game on purpose. But what's funny is the Ravens, Bills, Texans, Eagles, and Rams also rested their starters over the weekend, but only the Chiefs were the ones that were afraid. I mean, that's a pretty common thing to do if the playoff seeding has already been locked in. Had the Bengals lost to the Steelers on Saturday, thus getting eliminated from the playoffs one day earlier, guess what, guys? The Chiefs would have still rested their starters for a couple reasons. I know that's absolutely shocking, mind-blowing stuff that I just dropped in this video. They had an extremely early Week 6 bye, and then they played 3 games in 11 days from December 15th to December 25th. So with the 1 seed locked in, this game was absolutely meaningless, and these key starters desperately needed the rest. I personally do not care that the score was 38-0. I mean, sure, would it have been cool to see KC's JV squad have a closer game against a solid Denver team who needed the win to get in? Absolutely, it would have been better, but Andy Reid does not care about this stuff, and neither should we. Here's a prime example of what I mean. The 2004 Eagles, 20 years ago, they had the 1 seed and they rested their starters the last week of the regular season, and they got blown out 38-10 by the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, guess who the head coach was? You guessed it, Andy Reid. I mean, this situation has gotten so out of hand that a legitimate investigative reporter who also works for ESPN, this guy, Don Van Netta Jr., he even weighed in on his account, saying the Chiefs taking a dive today is a low light of the NFL season. Whether their incentive was only rest or also blocking the dreaded Bengals from the playoffs, it's just an extremely bad look and likely self-sabotaging for a team hoping to three-peat. And for this man being an investigative reporter, he sure didn't do his research because, as you just saw, Andy Reid did this back in 2004. This isn't new news, you freaking dum-dum. So long story short, no. The Chiefs were not concerned if the Broncos, Bengals, or Dolphins snuck in as the 7th seed. Their goal was to get out of there healthy at all costs and give some extra rest to the starters. Here's a pretty good reason why. The Ravens might not have Zay Flowers in the wildcard round, then the Packers won't have wide receiver Christian Watson, who is feared to have torn his ACL. Players can literally get hurt any given snap, so rest Week 18 if you can and get out of there. That's what the Chiefs accomplished, and that is what matters the most. Chamari Connor was the only injury in yesterday's game, but Andy Reid said afterward he's going to be all right. The x-ray on his collarbone came back negative, and it's more muscle than anything else, so that is some great news indeed. And upon the conclusion of Week 18, I am a bit sad to report that the regular season is over. The good news, though, is that the playoffs and the bracket is officially set, and we're going to have some bangers of some games as soon as this weekend. For the AFC, the seeding is as follows. Broncos are the 7th seed, then the Steelers are 6th, Chargers 5, Texans 4, Ravens 3, Bills 2, and then the Chiefs, of course, are the 1 seed. For the NFC, Packers are 7, then the Commanders are next at 6, Vikings are 5 after losing badly to the Lions last night, Rams are 4, Bucks are 3, Eagles are 2, and the Lions are now at the top of the NFC and have the first round bye like the Chiefs do in the AFC. Now, the games and times are set as well, with the Chargers traveling to Houston for the midday game on Saturday, followed by the Steelers and Ravens on Amazon Prime going at it Saturday evening. Then Sunday, the Broncos and Bills face off at noon. The Packers and Eagles are next at 3:30, and then the Commanders and Bucks are next at 7 p.m. And finally, Monday evening concludes Wildcard Weekend with the Vikings facing the Rams. But let's look specifically at the AFC playoff picture here. The Chiefs will face the lowest remaining seed in the divisional round after this week's wildcard games. And if things play out like I think they will, the Bills should most likely beat the Broncos. Any crazy thing could happen any given Sunday or Saturday whenever they're playing, and the playoffs are single round elimination, okay? So crazier things have happened, but I do think the Bills should most likely beat the Broncos. The Ravens will then most likely beat the Steelers, and then the Chargers should be able to beat the Houston Texans. If that's the case, that means the Ravens will head to Buffalo and the Chargers will head to Arrowhead for these divisional round games. And that means the Chiefs will play the Chargers for a 3rd time this season, if of course it plays out like that. Divisional opponents are not easy to begin with, and it certainly is a pretty difficult thing to beat the same team 3 times in one season. KC bested the Chargers week 4, 17-10, where Herbert was dealing with an ankle sprain, Derwin James was suspended, and they were without both of their starting offensive tackles. Then in week 14, Matthew Wright ended up kicking a 31-yard game-winning field goal to give the Chiefs a 19-17 come-from-behind victory. Can they do it a 3rd time? I do believe so, but we will have to wait and see how this week of games plays out first, and then obviously we will start breaking it all down as we get ready for the divisional round of the playoffs. The Chiefs are eyeing a 3-peat. What better time to be a Chiefs fan than right now? Make sure to let me know your thoughts on the 38-0 loss for KC and what you took away from that game, if anything. Then let me know your thoughts on who you think the Chiefs will most likely be playing in the divisional round and why. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?